And also to the second.
Would these work as drywall in the front or pumping the runoff in the gutter?
Yeah, if they're,
Or you need to get well below cost?
no, you don't have to be well, all right, just have it. And what I do, if it were is, you don't have to do this, because there's no area for it. But, dock heaters. Right,
Yeah, we're planning, we'll probably go ahead and put a heat in the gutter as a downspout.
okay,
And then run it down into the,
if
into there.
you could put it down there, just, because all you gotta do is keep a little bit of it hot, so that it's got some closure. But they were great, we did it. We actually retrofitted a whole meeting complex in Mountain with them,
Okay,
and they were fantastic.
that's, so you might to use this. Not for somebody else. Where did you, who would you buy the precast from?
You get it from, Old Castle.
Okay,
And then there's, precast. So, yeah, it's out of there. That's what I usually do, preparation precast. I know they make those. Okay. But that,
Good, how you doing?
they're very good though. Maybe really good one. It's not good. Down in the middle, there's one.
Yeah.
I mean, the second thing, that is-
What's that? Yes.
I never remember.
Yeah, she definitely counts. Yes.
yeah, because it really right with that, the past two years, that really builds up and makes it very good. So we need to.
No, I think they're really.
Okay,
Can-
folks, I'm going to call the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Craig Abrahamson,
Here.
Kevin Koharik,
Here.
Amanda Cooper,
Here,
Mary Smith.
yep. Here.
I'm going to call for an agenda approval. I think we have.
Can I add anything?
Yes, please.
So I believe we need to elect a new vice chair. I think Dustin was on the same cycle, same cycle as you were on one year. And potentially new members to the commission. And then just a quick calendar mention, I guess. And I would also like to add the website discussion.
Okay. And it looks like is this gonna be audience citizens or?
We're gonna, I was gonna add him as an amendment, is what I was thinking.
Okay, so I, the next part, so let's put in,
Promise to be quick.
so are we gonna move him before the wait time? Yeah. Okay, great.
If I can, we're in parentheses after the banners of the administrators report. Put in parentheses action, for potential action. I like that conversation about it.
Okay.
You wanna have a conversation, I missed that, at the town admin,
Execute the banners, so potential action item. Potential.
regarding banners.
Okay, somebody want to take?
So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
It's been.
All in favor, aye.
I want to know the very.
Okay. Audience business, members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. No official action may be taken at this time. Those viewing on television may phone in comments to 303-569-2555, extension 7, or use the Zoom application.
Okay, it looks like Jordan may do you wanna say something, Jordan?
No,
Hi, Jordan. Hi, Jordan. Good morning.
good morning.
I think you're muted.
No,
Would you crank up the volume? Because-
let's see, we can't hear you. I don't know. Can you say something? Can you say hi or something?
She did.
Okay, well,
Hi
I was
there.
just trying to get her to say something else.
Can you guys hear me now?
Testing 1, 2, 3 or something.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Your mouth is moving, okay, and we can't hear you.
Oh no,
Wait for it.
it doesn't show anything like,
Or how fast can you type? Yeah.
Can you, let's see, you want to say something now? Testing?
testing.
There we go.
Oh, hey.
Go ahead,
Hello.
Jordan.
I don't have really anything to say.
Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us on this spot.
Yeah,
All right, I don't think there's any new business movers or we can decide, well, Jordan, so new one. So let's go on to, new and unfinished business. Mr. Hamilton, would you like to go first and tell us about the Stroke Park refresh?
Yes, phase 2 is, we've got, there's some touch up thing to do, which hopefully next week will be warm enough, we'll be able to, if you hear the word stated. And the gutter guy is supposed to come next week, go to the permitting, and we should have the weather, so. So we're doing the 2 remaining items, everything else has been done. I've been working with Parks and Rec over the last month or so to define the scope of the next phase, which is basically a hardscape in the park. And the package I gave you is kind of where we are. And I wanted to just highlight the changes from the original DHM design that got approved by everybody.
Is that on this one? Please?
It's on a piece of paper, the 7 items at the top basically are the deviations from the original design, which is pretty self-explanatory. That raises some questions. The 2 big changes are the plan is to retain the stone seat that's at the corner of 6th and Rose, and to retain the cottonwood tree. Everything else, the intent is to remove the bollards, the rock corner posts that are falling apart anyway. Take the fence and move it up to this tree, that type of thing. And to go with the gas fire pit instead of a wooden one, which makes sense. The layout shows a planter on the south side of the storage area, a big planter between that and the sidewalk that goes back to the restrooms. That's kind of an addition or an enlargement. The town has suggested that we look into expanding the parking lot all the way to the apartment building on the east end. And to do that would probably require removing the pine tree, which I kind of told them probably would be a big pushback. I'd like to get just a general idea of what this commission's thoughts are on doing that. I don't think we'd add too many more spaces just because of it going around the corner, so we might get another 4 or 5 parking spaces in there. So that's something that.
When you say the town, who's the town?
Rick.
Parks and Rec.
No, I'm talking to them tomorrow about the same stuff. The plan for the sidewalk from the street basically up to the restroom is all concrete. The area where we have the handicap stuff, the ramp and all that, that would need to be concrete. But the rest of it could be flagstone All the rest of the paving in the park is gonna be the flagstone. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Is it going to be
Yeah, the top, the red flagstone. And then if you could help me out on, construction restraints. I listed the figure that came up in joint. These are all, excuse me, I was able to take off the town calendar for events up to the Christmas market. And when it says Georgetown days, you're going to use the park. That was available. I don't know, the Mustangs on Sixth Street would have an impact on the park. The Slackwood would. So like for the weekend, that we would want to have a park open. Would that involve parking?
It could,
I think they sometimes.
that's on the 29th, the big piece of it would be on that Saturday, the 29th.
I think it depends on the artist, because it's kind of the artists go around and select their subject matter.
Well, but they're also, they do, it's possible, but they're also using library day, we got mountain jams going on that day, and once they do their quick draw, they tend to, explain to me, they tend to display their arts either, on like, last year they did it on Library Stage Corner because of Star Parks, condition, but this year it could potentially be in Star Park, but just to throw this in, that's the same day HDI is gonna do the historic home tour, and so there's there's a possibility of using the park for that too, which I forgot to kind of add that as an amendment to the agenda. But Bob, there's a calendar of other stuff that I pulled off too, that you might want to have.
Yeah, that's great, because what I'm gonna try and do is figure out what work windows we have in the park.
Next week.
Yeah.
The Big Word Sheep Festival is the second Saturday in November, so that's gonna be the 11th.
That is, on the website, especially.
Then, the wine experience at Hotel the Terrace will affect anything. They got 4 of them actually, they're all on our property, so.
Okay, I would think everything else would affect the parking center. So we'll have to see, once I'll look at what Mary did as well, and we'll try and put some kind of a schedule together. My intent right now is to go and hire a contractor to do all of this, which may be really problematic if we're trying to work in between things. In knowing what I want to do with contractors before we want them to perform, which basically doesn't happen. But that, I don't have a good frame of reference for what this is gonna cost, so I need to go out and get some bids and give the idea how much money we're talking about. What's the budget? I mean, what's the DHM budget came total for all of this, not counting the planting and putting the irrigation system in. I mean, we run in the main hunting money last second round of it. Was about 550,000. That was back in 2021.
What is the town physically have available?
I don't know, I think probably around 300. So the original plan was to do the hardscape in the park and then do the parking lot as the next phase. There's a real push to do the parking lot now because of drainage problems in that affect the building. To try and get all that, get all that in, maybe the paving later.
Well, then the drainage too is impacting the apartment.
Well, I think drainage, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what you
No,
we want, a real push to do something about that this year.
Coming back into the schedule, for Georgetown days, the date is probably the most imperative, but could be worked around, we did it last year. With the appropriate road closure permit is, the Friday, the 26th, that's the day we can do breakfast in there. Saturday is the borough race. So there isn't, you don't usually have like vendors, it's more spectators, so just to be like functional and looking decent, but opposed to being used. Sunday's nothing, it's Georgetown business days, but again.
Yeah, so there, yeah, would likely be no work on weekends anyway.
Yeah.
But it's to be a matter of getting the park cleaned up so that it could be usable for weekends.
And not occupying the parking behind with construction materials.
Potentially on that Sunday, we can try to do, like, home-based businesses in the front of, like, we're local vendors, like, because that's Georgetown business days, and then Monday is Memorial Day ceremony, which is library stage. So really Friday, maybe Sunday, as I call it, totally contradictory. Would be the days, we just be tidy, then, and we don't need power for the pancake breakfast.
We're gonna,
but
I
they're-
mean,
So you share.
the booths are functional, the only thing that's gonna impact the booths would be, laying flags and getting the base ready for it. The first thing will happen is we will need to dig up, need to remove some stuff, that's pretty straightforward, that won't, and that shouldn't take more than, a couple of days or so, and then flatten out the areas where we need to dig. There's a couple of deep foundations that go down to below the frost level, and we're looking at putting some, dry wells in for like the runoff from the gutters. So they'll go down 4 or 5 feet. We'll need to go slow, get that in, and then get that stuff covered up again. One of the things is, the park spot that they wanted to have the bench that shows in the DHA plan, which is on 6th Street, right as the entrance of the A&A. I looked at that bench is essentially the same thing we have on the corner. I mean, it looks identical. I think the intent was to mount the plaques on there. Since we're gonna leave the corner thing, I would push for not doing the bench at all. I mean, if you want to put a bench there, let's put a bench, rather than something made out of stone that we have to dig a 4-foot hole for 8 feet long. So I'm gonna, if you guys are in agreement with that, I'm gonna push that with the function of tomorrow.
I agree with that, I think with the comment that I was saying too.
Yeah, I mean,
I think for the expense. And I don't think we're gonna get 4 parking spaces out of it by moving that tree.
at most,
I don't see that as being more cost effective or aesthetically, that's still a good healthy tree. And it's all that's in that, it should remain, we're going to slide.
Can we talk about?
It's just right, I think we're going there, right across the Alpine Lowe's.
Got it. I know that, I know. I do a lot of trees in that guy.
that's a nice little pine tree.
But it is. With regard to the flagstone sidewalk, I think that's more than needs to be applied to a 50-foot sidewalk that's going to a bathroom. Because you're still gonna have to pour concrete for edging for the flagstone. Get it, I mean, it's a 2-day job, if it's concrete, it's one shot, if it's at least, or it's a 2 job, if it's flagstone.
Could we stay for all?
We have exposed adequate standard for downtown. And all the way down in the way that we can apply it, it will be great. I wouldn't go apply as heavy as some of it, but because it's maybe. Not the system.
Yeah.
But I would just do is a more standard, I would do the 2-step, the 200% mix and. Like it's there, It's gonna look great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, again, it's adjacent to a parking lot, it's gonna be great.
For the rest.
I mean, it's rare, it's gonna be rarely viewed by the.
Right, well, it's tucked behind the building and, it's not stars, and it's not.
And as much as I love lights, it's a freaking night. Probably just constantly moving on you,
Well, and
You're
people,
grabbing your social level, because it's like I did yesterday for 20 minutes, you know, so it's.
you bring up a good point though with the handicap and the flagstone, because once that flagstone starts to shift, then the whole idea of handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Kind of goes down to the toilet. So, I mean,
Like the basement on Jordan on sidewalk too, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna have enough on the part.
Okay, I'm fine. I mean, if I, those are kind of, what's the.
Yeah, it heaves a lot and it is difficult to maintain. I see a lot of people tripping on our sidewalks, so why add to that? These are able-bodied people.
I personally would like to see it get away from the flags and look at concrete, because there's a lot of pushback in the air. The best person.
well, but
No, it's more than a personal preference, it's a building issue, it's a cost issue, it's
Oh, yeah.
a,
I mean,
it's a maintenance issue.
let's.
And it is a certain building. You can go right down to the bottom standards out down here on South Street and see a really good example of well done sketch concrete that. I got news for you, everybody but you, Cindy and me, looks at it, goes, oh, that's pretty pretty, you know, it looks like plastic. I think you guys should seriously consider it. You'll make it, in this case, it's done.
I mean, I'm looking at the plaza, I mean, the whole,
Yeah.
there's a ton of flagstone going in the plaza, it's gonna go all over the place. And, you know, I'm sure we need price tag for that, it's going to be astronomical.
There's so much pedestrian traffic in there, and like flagstone is the same.
Well, if it's not attached to a slab, so back in 2010, we paved the two courtyards in the walkway at Hotel Paris, and that's our ADA access. But it's on a 6-inch slab.
Yeah.
And so the cost of concrete and everything, and so those don't move,
No, they don't.
but, the cost would be really high.
We just got a concrete bid for GCS and we have to cut out a segment of our project because of the cost of concrete and material. Because it's so outrageous.
So, yeah, this is
Like
going
in
to
the-
create funds. Equate that for you. But
Yeah.
yes, for the area, 5 times as many.
To
In 20.
to put concrete down in the place, so I think, oh,
Yeah.
it's the right of front.
I mean, the saving rate to the car is that, we don't have a roofing. You still have some heating issues, but it won't be as bad as the sidewalks around town because it won't be, it'll be on the road base, you dig down 4 or 6 inches of road base in instead of, sand and.
So it'll be permeable.
It'll be permeable and it'll be non-organic,
Yeah,
at least.
because, if it were, the other component of, the flagstone in the slab, here at the hotel is that there are ground drains. Those, you have to have both. And so, so you are taking into consideration increase for the gas station.
Well, we gotta get the runoff from the gutters and get it right out of
Good, okay,
and then the rest of it should slow, go to the street, basically.
2 Rose Street,
Roseanne and, mainly Rose.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure Carson's thought about this a lot, I've done a lot, and here's you guys do, and I respect their opinions, so, but my primary interest is. Having this done and not look like a construction's going on here, because it was I mean, and this is no dig or anything, but it was a significant distraction, I think. For the 6 years set it last summer, regardless of whether we can actually use the park for events, my greater interest is in. Moving it forward and get it.
Well, and unless it be disturbed, I mean, the biggest thing is get all the underground stuff. In quick done, and then, placing the flagstone would be less disruptive.
In the scheme of summer events, just coming back to that piece, honestly, with the position we're in, having to reconsider the entire management position for the person who does that job, maybe this is a year for us to take pause and just do meters and not have a bunch of side work things or pulling vendors or having Spanish food trucks and driving Spanish all these things, all that versus the place. And the park is kind of a good. Say, you know, it's kind of, it goes hand in hand and just let them finish what they need to finish, so it needs to look good, don't get me wrong, but we're not trying to force, you know, like friendship with makers and churro
No, I think,
vendors.
yeah, I would. No, I-
Churros, did you say churros?
Memorial Day, Fourth of July, what we're really focused on, that's probably that last.
Slacker.
Which, I mean, that's all kind of the, you know, from June 24th through July 4th, that kind of says, okay, we're not doing anything with it. The park needs to be available for that. What it's gonna be.
And we just went, I think we should then for road closures now, just as each one slack roads, you know, itself, when we do our road closures, for short Sundays and. We get those in this month, so there's.
Yeah, I don't think I guess that's put it all together, it's kind of a schedule.
I have a couple of comments. What about that every retreat? There's the practice of just replacing power for inches. And so you can negotiate with, people who want to protect the tree by replacing the power inches with other trees in, maybe better locations. And, I've done that once here in Georgetown. We removed an aspen from the parking lot, that was in conflict with the flagpole. And we replaced power bridges and fighted protesting. And then the monument to silver, I noticed that the silver ore, piece of silver ore is not there. Can we replace that piece?
The monument as well.
The monument's going where?
Mine was going away. Whose idea was that? That was in the approved plan, and that's what. The Parks and Rec was.
NDRC's allowing
There's been changes though from what DHM originally submitted and what we've ended up doing. So I could see where that could change.
That's why I wanted to wait till it was well, it didn't want it, rather than talking about.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was 8 years ago that we took the time and effort to. When did we move that?
29,
29 years, like it mattered enough that we
Yeah,
apparently moved it and rehabilitated it. I'd like to have a promotion to make a position statement on that, since that ship doesn't, I did not even notice that plan with the money.
The only thing I would like to know what kind of, I mean, whose recommendation was to pull it, you know, and I'd like to hear it.
Well, the recommendation to keep it.
Is the implementation part, isn't it?
Yeah, that
Well, I mean, if the DHM plans went through,
PRC,
I looked at everything. I mean, every commission, I think, commented on that, and
yeah,
it went round and round and round for months. And that's where it wound up. That corner is tight, and I mean, we purposely only brought the shed out to where the monument is. In the current thinking, if the monument goes, that would just be paved with flagstone. There is a benchmark there, which needs to be preserved, and that would be preserved. But the monument would go.
What happened to the scope? Is the scope out of the plan now? The new title?
It's been removed, it's going to be put back in the park. The little spot here,
Yeah.
it's sitting in my basement right now.
Okay.
well,
So
that's
there-
fun for you.
So
Let's look it up.
what was the plan for the silver ore monument? Just to
With me.
dispose of it?
They were gonna put the plaque on a boulder. That basically is the plaque, I think, on the plaque.
That seems so strange to me because
Let's
the
get it off the board.
final effect is about the same, so why?
I know, I'm just. Reason why we need to.
Yeah.
I agree with my head.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for, that's the best thing to demolish.
Yeah.
And you really couldn't, wouldn't make sense to demolish the foundation, because we had the foundation for that, and we did,
Oh, yeah,
that foundation is huge,
it's big.
it's huge, it's underneath the new building.
Culturally, I think it's a significant feature.
It needs to be rehabilitated, and some of the pointed, and I was not aware that there was a big silver or gold.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the top,
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why
Oh,
we
yeah,
can't.
that's big.
You see a call everybody silver, we'll melt it down, and put a big silver ball on it.
Well,
So,
So are you gonna make a
I
motion?
would make a motion that we make recommendations for the board of selectmen at this point. I would imagine they're the final decision makers.
well, yeah, I'm considering this tomorrow, the same discussion to Mark and Rec tomorrow, to finalize the scope, so I can get it.
People, if anybody locally have a plan for this, or if it's like, if it's just, I mean, if you're good,
It's not demolished.
okay.
What we're gonna do.
It's in the DHM design to demolish.
No, that's what it costs.
No,
It's taking money that we want.
it's not.
Let's flag some, yeah, let's demolition, let's disposal.
So, okay.
I think make a motion that we, by letter signed by the chairman of the business promotion committee, recommend the board of selectmen, parking and Rec commission, and zoning review commission. That's all of them, if they name a couple more. To retain the, call it the mining, the ore mine, the silver ore mine, the silver ore mine that at the southwest corner of Shasta.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Good, I'll bring that to the other two board.
You want
I'm gonna meet with the DRC board next week.
see, you've got a little bit of knowledge in the background where you can characterize it, you know, it works.
Well, everything else looks really good. He's lots of stuff on this Wednesday.
And I just want to say one more thing, I haven't developed it yet, but there is a talk about making the storage shelter part of the loose as a more permanent concession area where we have possibly, we already have electric in there, but the plan is to put an outlet, maybe a 50 amp or a couple 30 amp outlets on the outside back, the parking lot side for plug-in of, a truck. So that we have power readily available, like it is done. So when we do the electrical scope, we're planning to add that regardless, just so it's there. Possibly adding an outlet for 240 volt electric griddle or stove or something inside the refrigerator in there. I think we should plan on water.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna do that, then you must think in there.
Yeah, we need to have some kind of a wash tank in there. But
We're gonna have sewer.
yeah, well, water and sewer's right there. We're gonna be digging in that area. We can get that done. That's a thought. So I'm gonna look at what would be involved in cost and I'm gonna look at some code issues. On that, what we need to do to make that happen. The other thing that I've been thinking is, what if we created something like a permanent booth similar to what we had in the past, but just on those two end booths? So that could be like a permanent concession area. We can put a window to pass through to go inside it. Basically have a counter there. We have enough wood, we have enough wooden materials to do that. So that would be a semi-closed, like the old style booths where you could have concessions there all year. Just, set up for selling hot dogs or popcorn or
Could be
whatever.
used for lots of different things, if it's got that counter and everything.
Well, that's, I'm thinking, I don't think it would really detract from the booths, we could definitely charge more for those booths. I know that the screw guy there likes that in, and, it would work fine for him, sure. So we have a booth in, the up front, you can put some signage over the front of that, there's a lot of ways you could do it. So that's another thought, so I'm gonna, where it goes up, that's kind of a separate little project that we could do, but we'll figure out what we're gonna do for infrastructure that needs to get underground. Because there's no meter on the water supply to the park, the one with the hand pump. If we bring water into the shed, then we could heat you could create a closet inside the shed there that we could heat and keep. You know, keep plumbing going for hot water heater, the things we could do. And now's the, if we think we're gonna do it, now's the time, because we're gonna be doing more digging.
I don't think I'm not opposed to the notion of it. I think we'd like to talk about what a permanent concession looks like from a business perspective when surrounding that, with I've heard more people who are camping, water wells and stuff like that, so.
I just think that
Sure, how it's actually occupied, but like have that conversation, but I think the notion is good regardless.
the notion's good, I think I just put a note to ask the next, agenda or possibly maybe a later summer agenda. When this is all said and done, we could adjust the fee schedule to accommodate that and make it so that it's a little more lucrative from a town perspective. For us to have that available to vendors, especially for things like the tree lighting. Or for, you know, like in high school or elementary school to do fundraisers. And have those concessions available, we don't wanna, yeah.
The other thing is things like, like popcorn, comfort type stuff, or when something is going on downtown, because you won't need it, and you either go buy something at K&A, or you go into a restaurant and be killing an hour or two. So that's a thought, that maybe having that available, where you could set something up, different organizations in town, but, use it as a fundraiser or whatever. That's up to you guys.
For the slacker to have, beer vendors over there, there's a lot of things, I think it can serve a good purpose.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, always appreciate seeing you. Thanks for all your.
Hey, Bob, can I have your email address?
Yes. It's honor, V as in Victor, Hamilton. Very on. Yeah, AOL.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good.
thanks. On to Wakeland, so in your packet, you will see, sort of a scope of work, proposed scope of work based on our conversations, these meetings. It's quite a few things. I was thinking we talked about 5 things, but then when we got out there in the field, it was many things that we had discussed, and so we looked at all of them. So, I don't know if you had a chance to go through and look at this, but everything is numbered, and there's another handout, an email with some rough pricing. And so I think what we need to do is decide phases, what's most important, what is going to fulfill our mission.
Good, side maker, holy moly.
Just from observation, I will say that parking for me is towards the top of the list of my places. We've got 2 parking lots that we are pulling names under adjacent to Hotel Terrace. We lease those to the town. And I would say annually, I see people get in verbal fights and sometimes fist fights over parking spaces. When the lower lot is full and the upper lot is empty, where it's there for their use. And I think the busier we get as a town, the more we have to guide tourists and visitors, because they are out of sorts because they're in a foreign land. So we have a non-compliant sign in the lower lot, probably from the 1970s. It's the router that would that said public parking. So it doesn't comply with our branding standards. So I'm suggesting that we have a new sign made for the lower lot, a new sign made for the upper lot, pointing that out to alleviate the stress on the lower lot. And then, then I see the overlap with the Strauss Park project. There's no sign for public parking that is compliant over at the lot that Rose and across from Silver Brick.
What are we doing?
Through the, yeah, no,
Oh,
it's not,
I think that's it.
but, okay,
Oh, yeah, that's.
yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So I think the town has budgeted for any of these items.
That's why we made budgets.
Oh, did Mary hear me?
I get that, yeah, I've got a direct line to her, it's the pipe from Bob.
Yeah, the reason we're doing this was the anticipation of the lodging tax and expending those funds when they're available. So, I don't think this is all going to be done in 1 year. I think this is a multi-year thing. We need to think about how it helps visitors and how it helps businesses. And so that's why, another reason why I like starting with 3 parking lots is because it fulfills both of those things. And when I say businesses, I'm of course meaning in the historic commercial district. And so that brings me to the Gateway Business District, which has been underserved when it comes to signage. And so, as Craig pointed out, the main sign, the main welcome sign at the visitor center focuses only on historic commercial district. And the reason for that, partially was that only the businesses didn't like to get the time of things, you know, they're all. And so, that needs to be updated in order to be more equitable. And then, the proposed sign here, Family Dollar, pointing the way to things like event parking, people that want us, so that would be helpful. To the lake, to the hotel lodging, to dining. And whatever other businesses are laying down there. So those are kind of my 2 focuses, parking lots and gateway business.
What were you proposing on a couple of these panels, we had like update this panel?
Yeah, so there's confusion. Okay, so the main, so the big one at the VC said,
Yeah.
welcome to your.
Let's talk, which number are you talking about? This is what it is.
On number 8, okay, the second and fourth panel, you've got, you know. I'm trying to figure out.
One said museums.
Are there just 2 panels there?
No, there are 4 panels.
Okay.
And then, the other one to say, I think the other one just says dining. And so, they don't have to be changed.
Maybe unless there's no ask.
Wouldn't be,
Which is the worst thing.
yeah, but,
So from a logistical standpoint, coming back to. Let's say it's a priority, so the project will be
okay, good.
$89,780. Is what we're looking at, sorry, also make 10 cents to make it 20, yeah. So obviously, and that's all before tax.
Well, I'm concerned about
Oh,
tax.
tax.
Should the town pay tax? Does the town pay tax?
No, it's not tax.
Yeah, this one is. Yeah. So,
So, for 90 grand. And obviously, we'll put some contingency in there because there's always contingency. So, we can prioritize it 1 of 2 ways. We can prioritize it by either area or by, like you're starting to with the inherent project, wayfinding, relevancy,
mission.
mission.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, until we have a snapshot of any type of budgetary, I mean, this is even at 90,000, this is probably a minimum of 3 next project. In my,
Yeah, agreed.
which means it's probably 115 to 20,000, because if we have to do it over 3 phases, we're not gonna get it all done in 1 annual budget cycle.
Agreed. And so this was not spending money we don't have. This is anticipating money that we will be getting. Yeah. And I'm all for a zero budget at the end of the year. I don't like to carry over money. And so when the money starts coming in, I do want to spend it. So, this is all done because of conversations that are going to take time like this. So that's why it's before the money arrives.
This is fantastic, by the way.
It's a lot to take here.
But it's fairly, in my opinion, it's fairly easy for us.
Okay.
What are you about? I think the downtown parking, okay, signs, 1, 2. And 2 upper? No.
Yeah, the two, yeah. So
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
since the upper lot gets missed visually,
Yep.
so there are two signs.
Yeah,
One viewing up
yeah,
house and the other viewing down the.
yeah. Both of those.
So I'm just marking those as spacing. So
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3. If it was me, I'd do 1, 2, 3.
and 6.
Actually, 6 is obvious. I don't feel like 6 is.
Well,
entirely.
But 6 will be in conjunction with the phase 3.
Right. Maybe that's not-
that I think about that. And also, I just want to put a sign in there that gets beat up or.
So let's get first. You know, that's an amazing question.
Okay.
Which is something we should think about, like if any of these, if we can incorporate a parts component with any of these, then we can get into that right now. So 1, 2, 3, 6. But 6 maybe
I have 6 and then just.
6 with an asterisk,
Yeah.
and then I think
15, that's
Uh,
fine.
9.
Okay. And let me give you a little bit.
Because it, when they moved that building over there, they gave us a beautiful opportunity to direct, visitors around that town by giving us that big facade. On that side, on that corner. It's a great spot for wayfinding signs, and I use it that way now, and may as well formalize it, make it like fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it, by using the building, that saves us money because we don't have to attach to a post. That may or may not exist.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you notice how the red box is larger than the 3 signs that are already there. So we have had private business owners approach us about, adding their businesses to the freestanding signs. And so what we can do, and we cannot spend, tax dollars on promoting any one business. So the box, the red box that's outlined there is not a frame, it's just to get your attention. There's space for more signs, and if a private business wants to promote themselves, they should be able to pay for one of those.
Well, we've been the sign code,
So, yeah, and I'm not familiar with the sign
well,
code.
the sign code doesn't let you advertise on.
Oh, okay.
But, hey, listen, we're gonna have that conversation. Yeah, it occurred to me that it's done in other historic business districts. And here's the real beauty of it helps pay for the sign. Right, it wouldn't be cheap, right, so not everybody is gonna, it's like, oh, yeah, put me on the corner of that building.
Yeah.
But some businesses might.
Correct.
And honestly, there's probably gonna be main city kind of businesses that are gonna be rotating through. And I think it's a conversation for that,
Okay, all right.
especially from a financial perspective.
So Craig, finish up with your phase B, so I can.
So I bring it up.
Well, we got 9, so what's after 9?
We got 9, if I don't, now I'm thinking about hers, so that would be my first phase in terms of priority. I'd love to do the LED.
15 and 16.
Let me back up to why I didn't do it in the second here. I'd love to do the LED strip over the storage sign too. So if it was possible to squeeze that in, every time I drive through by under or around that sign, I go, dude, God, why can't we do better? I mean, it's covered in wiring. We need to kind of, you know, spray paint the gray electrical box around to make everybody else do it, but we don't do it. I just, so on the nine. I'm sorry, you are.
And you're on 79.
No, but Amanda, you skipped the.
I put in on basically, because I was thinking we were focusing on parking and refunding, I put in 15 and 16.
Those two areas are up in the air though. Like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, Marco gateway stuff.
well, the public parking down by the lake where, you know, it's getting kicked around. What are we gonna do with the parking down there? Is it gonna be paid parking? So let's.
Who's having that conversation?
Town administrator and the board of selectmen gets thrown that piece of information every once in a while. So until there's a decision on that, even with 15, with what's going on with the event parking and how we're utilizing that other than piles of milling, I really, to me, those are priorities. And I'm gonna jump in.
I think it's a big.
I think number 30. And the sign of the visitor center. That we're not starting to encompass what's north down 20, you know, down by 22nd Street. Especially if we're talking using any kind of lodging tax dollars, we better the hell recognize our lodging facility down there. And the other pieces that are down there or, you know, that are on their way down.
I just can't swallow that. Thanks back to that.
But it's like it's gonna be cheaper.
They did. They have, I mean, their work, all of their work is phenomenal. They have, and I think that we wouldn't want to go house and signage to create something aesthetic that already exists without having support in it, because they have a very distinct, they have a signature in their design, it's very obvious.
Go set ourselves up that we did. Only spend bazillions of dollars every time we wanted to freaking sign.
Yeah.
So listen, I mean, honestly, we should consider changing some of the, I mean, not on that side, like, right? It was made by House of Signs, they've got a particular aesthetic, that's all great, maybe we spend $8,500 on this. 3-foot by 7-foot ample, oh my god, what's the price per square foot on that, I could build a really nice house. But, good question. But maybe on the other ones, we consider, like, is this an aesthetic for a framework where we can actually take it for some competition out there? It's just a thought, because if House of Signs is charging a premium on every one of them, then it's gonna affect the timeline for actual implementation and money that we would have to spend on other methods as well. I just throw that out there. I don't think we need to consider that for this conversation. I think for this conversation, we need to identify our priorities and then use that as a budget number and then see if we can whittle it.
I mean, for the sign at 13. I honestly, because like, it's a parent on PTSD over the side. I don't believe 5 is that bad, but I also. I mean, how do we expand that sign and make it more inclusive without honestly a full redesign of the sign? Because it's a drive-by sign,
I think that's what we're paying. Doesn't figure that out.
I would agree.
We would have to provide them the information and the guidance. They would come up with, you know, a design based on their input. And only,
I can see it right now, personally, I mean, you would just you'd move one of the 2 upper words down the second line. And then reposition your pointy hand guy, have one on either side, it's a fairly simple.
Shop and sleep is both ways.
Yeah,
This is gonna be controversial, but is there a reason that picture needs to be on the sign? Is it a vision, did anyone look at that picture closely enough to make it so that it matters? When they're driving through that intersection?
that's
Their directions as opposed to the.
a legitimate question, because if you think about the redesign, you could move that existing panel up. Right? And then create a new panel where where the existing panel is, so you've got the existing
And
panel,
popping up.
the top panel pointing to historic downtown. The lower panel pointing to your rundown gateway and mixed use business district. It's a thought.
I agree. I mean, it's valuable real estate on that side. That's just taking up space.
And it-
I mean, like, anyone like, look at that picture, let's find that. Like,
That was the,
summertime.
that was the thought, but
I get the
I
like,
got down with the car and I stood there and I looked at it and I did and I thought, this is so much information in this photo, can people absorb it? And I'm standing still.
Well, especially approaching a roundabout, because A, that freaks people out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're approaching the.
look, it's cool.
Okay, turn right. So what I'm hearing is. So what I'm hearing is the photo image is up for debate. And we could leave the lower information in each shop sleep train museum in place and just add a counterpart up where the photo is.
I can see each stuff up.
Oh, up, okay.
Yes, I would put the lower panel up.
Okay.
Because I.
And then-
It's owner of a gateway, mixed use business, we still want to emphasize
Yeah,
the historic business district, I think, because it's less obvious from a
It is.
visual perspective from the interstate, from the gateway. The emphasis needs to be on directing folks to our historic business district whenever we can, because they're gonna incidentally, a portion of them are gonna incidentally make their way to the other portions.
and then we have we have lake.
That's whatever, yeah, that's mixed
Maybe
use.
event parking on this, side.
Oh, sure.
Event parking.
And event park.
the lake and
that.
Yeah.
lake and event.
Lake event, that's it.
Okay.
So you could.
Lodging.
Each sleep,
Yeah,
each sleep, lake. Event park,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
something to that effect, because that's what you're gonna find.
and then we know past. So that, so the sign is this way, this way, this way. So it actually makes you look at the entire.
Yep,
And as you run into the middle of the roundabout.
Onto the front. This is pretty.
presumably signs are in our purview to make recommendations for what display, right? I mean, it's not, okay. I mean, it's certainly consistent with. With the charge.
Yeah, those conditions.
But this is a decision that.
Easy,
It's not a complicated, it's not a-
yeah.
the selectmen would be approving the actual sign language and sign plan.
DRC, they sometimes go to DRC though too,
Well, but that's it from
the big ones, but I'm just saying it's,
Yeah, I.
So
I agree.
budget phase though, would be, so 15,033 is signs 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Sign 9 makes that 19,300 feet. And then you would want to rebid. Sign 13 with the new design recommendation,
I'll bet it's. It'll be around 10,
probably.
just to move that panel up, I mean, it's very creative panel for each, so that's why.
So we're looking at 19,300 for phase 1 plus whatever the cost of sign 13 is, so we're gonna.
Maybe we could auction off that,
Which is perfect, you know, if we make some money from it.
that's true.
Oh, the photo. Can you tell me which size that you're looking at, which number? You have to, I think, I'm just wondering. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 9. And 13, they're gonna rebid on it because we had road here. But you also mentioned the overhead, it is historic Georgetown overhead.
I would love to put that in there as an adult kind of thing.
And to me, that's another cultural, there is.
It is.
You're talking about the big ones?
Yeah.
The
It
areas.
was an LED strip.
Yeah,
Why did-
and it needs to be repainted, those, yeah, letters,
And
Yeah.
then I pick number 6 to the parks.
yes, right, correct. And then the rest will be the.
Honestly, when we get that late parking area, that should be bigger parks too.
Yeah.
It might have cost. Parks seems to be flush.
What number is that thing?
We're talking 16.
Yeah, 16 new picnic parks and six new picnic parks. And from a cost perspective.
And then number 10 was the, are we put that on the list too, number 10?
Yeah,
There's an animal, I think it's with 40 grand for the 5 then. The 30, 40 grand, that's actually maybe. Well, I mean, between, I think it could be creative. Maybe look for some public-private partnership opportunities.
the, back to the Georgetown overhead sign there. The Hollywood sign was just recently repeated, and it's really nice, that white piece that is super reflective. And, I remember, it was a paint manufacturer, a big label, you would know, I can't remember, I was off with it. But they got a lot of press out of it, and, I think we should use the same thing, I think we'll get press out of it, but, it just seems like this people's development more applications like that, well, if it's available. So, I don't know how the town is with personnel, whether that could be feeded in-house or. Maybe at least it's in. Because I mean, we have a list, you know, and that's something that we could do then, you know.
So phase B, what I do that, so I just kind of, there are a few things for phase B, all kind of a light, metal sign stuff, that comes up to $15,035. Now it depends on what signs end up on the parks. And then C is kind of those final wayfinding, like those big wheel signs, the new signs, so that one is $18,869 is in that phase. That also might kind of incorporate into the Main Street extension of the commercial gateway district. So maybe there's, well, I was gonna say maybe there's grants. You know, there's
Absolutely.
like seed operations or some type of, you know, GoPro, there's GoPro support signage, I don't know, I'm not really, that's not my job, but.
Well, sometimes Main Street does sign brings.
Yeah.
What was phase C?
I'm doing a map on C right now.
Or I just was wondering what numbers she was.
So I wrote the phase C, obviously, this is just my opinion, 4, 8, 14, and that's it actually.
I don't know, I think,
12, no, I wrote 11 and 12 in the B, okay.
I think phase B and C are worth another conversation.
You know, I agree. If we could just focus on, hey, what do you think everyone understands me, because, my next step would be to go back to the council of science and have them start to develop designs and, you know, secure the price. So we're looking at signs 1, 2, and 3, 9, 10, and 13. But 13, I'll talk to them about a different approach. Do I have that right?
I think 9, I misspoke on 9. that's
Okay.
one of the communities, oh, you want 9 in phase A, right? That's the one of the center. I think that should go to B personally, but I'm one person. That's the one in the community center.
I'm not a palm my sword over it, I think it's valuable and.
You know, what needs to be put on that is Strauss Park. On number 9, we need to add a flag for Strauss Park. Well, but, I mean, if anyone from Parks is watching this meeting, they're gonna sit there being smart, they're like, promotions. Who's gonna pay for the fire pit? Well, they're using for events, it's promotions.
What was the we didn't use?
So we're moving that way, are we moving on to B? That's good. Okay. Keep the budget, whatever, need control.
Okay, so back to A, 1, 2, 3,
13, 10,
10, 13.
Yep,
Okay, got it,
which puts us
okay. All right, got it.
38.
I will take that on.
Okay.
So, but could you list B and C this program?
Yes, so, and this was, I mean, Craig, Mary, please wait.
The nice thing is, I'm gonna interrupt for just a second. The nice thing is, we all agree that these are all worthy of discussion. So there's no mistake. There's not. Okay, go ahead.
Phase B, 5, 7, 9, 10.
No, we have,
Sorry, 10 is an 8.
5, 7, 9.
5, 7, 9, 11, 12.
Yeah.
C is gonna be 4, 8, 14. And 6 is the James Parks.
So what was 6, 15, and 16?
6 is James Parks,
Okay.
and 16 is James Parks.
15.
15 is. TV.
oh, that's a parking,
That's T,
yeah.
so that's like D, base D.
Well, it's
Well,
something.
we're going to see just the.
Right.
We have,
Yeah,
Expectation is that one of these days, like, come up with a formal plan for that property down there and not just treat it like. Right, and stuff else. And, you know, the event parking sign for that is that one to be incorporated in the concept.
okay, I'm fine with that.
That was amazing.
There's something you want to make the motion to be given
I
about.
think one of the incorporated the phase of the way.
I know.
All in favor? Okay,
So maybe the agenda item for the next meeting would be, action, in terms of recommendations of the Board of Selectmen. In the meantime, you can work with House of Science, and then we can, maybe Mary and I can have a conversation with the other Mary about projected revenue from, lodging tax.
and we could take a look at what we've got in our
Mhm.
EPC budget that might be,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, well, we could implement it.
Okay,
I hate to speed this up, but it is 9:08,
Yep.
and I have to leave 40 minutes.
wait, we're speeding up.
All right, Joe.
you're up.
Do you have an email?
I printed it out and passed it out. and
Okay,
they-
I gave you a little bit of background, it's super simple, time for a change. Basically, all it would do is allow for a static, internally lit open sign in historic businesses.
I think it's a great idea. I think we just need to say that it's illuminated during business hours,
I think it's an open sign.
whatever.
So generally, open signs are illuminated primarily during business.
I understand that, but when somebody forgets to turn it off, and I don't care, but somebody else is gonna care. And so if we got that in there, it's very clear, turn off the damn sign.
But there's never works in restaurants, but I can assure you, no, there's never works in restaurants.
All right, so if you really want to apply it, open signage with a total area of 52 square feet of permit.
During business hours?
We can just add a sentence that in theory, you can do week this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
How about something to the effect of said sign? Yeah, only be illuminated during business hours. Work?
Yep.
Jerry must reword it.
I know it's a dull thing, but I'm just trying to help get this in and try to turn off any.
Does this go to PRC or it's like?
Selectmen, they want to refer to yours.
I have an observation, maybe as a question. Right at the beginning of this email, it says that, the code does not allow for any type of elimination of signs in the historic business district. I'm not sure that's true, or somebody's not compliant, because there are externally lit signs.
It's their own. It's their own.
So,
And
can
then,
you,
and it's 30.
yeah,
And
so like when I'm asking for, so
so they're saying that.
So I guess what I'm asking is, are the externally illuminated signs that exist at this moment not compliant?
Yes. And I think we should make them compliant, but I just didn't want to I didn't wanna bite off too much, but if we wanna consider that, I'm happy to come up, we can table this, I can come up with language for that for next week. Because I think it does, because when you're talking about, does it offend you?
No, I would rather have externally illuminated than internally illuminated.
For those signs that from out, that stick out of the building, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's effective, and I think it's a consistent part of a streetscape in any business district, including a historic business district, because the reality is, we have electricity here pretty early on this.
You know, it's a.
And it was in one, it was in one, you generate. It's a conversation we're having.
How do we,
I could work on some language for that.
let's, what do you?
I looked at Leadville, I looked at Telluride, I looked at a lot of. I wouldn't say Telluride too loud, because people are like, oh, no, Telluride, but
How many, by your counts, exterior illuminated signs? Three are there?
what are they? I'm not gonna say that up there.
I'll just share.
I'll take after me.
There's one down that way, there's another one down that way.
None of them are mine.
If we clarify that and we make it where it's a possibility, we could obviously increase.
Yeah.
The signs, the external signs that are lit, and encourage, that extra charm.
Listen, we can do it the way it's completely tactful is. Maybe not strictly dark sky compliant, but dark sky considerate.
Oh, we can put hours of when they can be moving.
Yeah, exactly.
They can go off, whatever.
Exactly. So I love to have a conversation. So let me come up with, let's table this, come up with some language. And I'll propose that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's.
All right, thank you.
Slacker Strauss Park, street closure, who's in charge of that?
Marketing and that's sporting.
All right, moving on. Do we need, okay, does Stan know that she needs to go apply? for
Yeah.
free closure?
And she has,
Okay.
I guess, she wanted,
Who's in? Oh, and.
she wanted some of the fees waived. We think that the street closure should be not waived because we have to use our cops and everybody else to. So, okay,
What are the costs?
for a street closure, I believe it's $250.
What are the other fees? that they
And
have?
then they have the park permit, which I was kind of considering because I didn't know if Strauss Park was going to be available or not. It sounds like it is. They normally pay for that. I mean, when Beth did it, through the Slacker. Now this year it's new because it's through CCMRD.
Which is a nonprofit.
And so they were asked,
Wave.
she was asking for some of the fees, but
Slacker Foundation is 501c3.
So they pay for it under the business of their lives. I mean, so it's a good cause.
Well, yeah, and Beth was always cognizant of that there were costs associated with. Functioning and she never asked for all the stuff. We did as far as I'm aware.
no, she paid for everything. Yeah,
Okay,
What other,
I'll talk to Sam.
their alcohol. And then if they were to put up a banner, I don't think they're going to. So it's really just that. The park permit, the street closure, the alcohol. That's it. The alcohol one's $25.
yeah,
The park permit's $150 a day.
every other nonprofit pays an alcohol permit, so.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Just what was the fourth for the banner?
A banner, if they wanted to put up a banner, I think it's like $20, I want to say.
Here's the banner go.
On the.
Ideally,
side?
yeah. Or on the side of the community center. I don't even know if they have one. She hasn't brought that up yet.
That would be something on the side of the community center, we can have a spot there, like they were talking about the community center. That could be
Oh, events.
used for a certain size banner, a frame,
Yeah.
a certain size banner to go in there for,
Okay.
yeah.
And just while we're talking about CCMRD, you guys know that they want to do that stepathon on 4th of July where they run around, it's like they paddleboard, they run around the lake and then they bike around the lake. Just throwing it out there, they put in a special event application for that. I don't think there's anything to really charge them for. Because. You know,
They use our parking lot.
yeah, so I'm just letting you know that's out there. It's from like 8 till 11, so it shouldn't affect any 4th of July. They did it last year.
Did they bring like EMS with them or something? Wasn't there a component for them to have like that?
I can bring that up. I can, yeah, okay.
Well, I can imagine. So. The soccer stuff, I mean, we certainly want to be like amicable with the rec center, with the rec district, they're obviously a great local organization, but. They got a sponsorship from us, they got more than they were supposed to get because I didn't throw on a budget. They've got event sponsors,
That's right.
and that's paid for, I mean, if this was like new, but it was always paid for in the past.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, the only fee I would maybe be okay with waiving is Strauss, just based on the possibility of use.
And it's not gonna be very cheap, no matter what.
Yeah, but that's not because it's, I feel compelled to do that out of kindness, out of more utilitarian.
Yes.
That's,
That's the way I was looking at it too.
difficult, but. I really like,
Give any organization money for their events, and then we're charging them application fees. I think we need
Yeah,
to weigh that out, or subtract. Yeah, you know, like, are we paying ourselves, kind of, you know?
I think what we should do,
But tactics to approach that.
Well, but in fairness though, we've never had anyone ask us to pay fees. They've always just paid them, and yeah, I mean, we've got to have, you know, a different method of managing the slacker, but it was like they got their money from us and then got paid all the fees and. It wasn't necessarily a circular problem until.
I think we should account for it as part of our contribution in the future, it should be taken in the aggregate, right? And say, okay, well, we're gonna give you,
ARB.
we're gonna give, well, look, we're gonna give you $5,000 for this, we're gonna give you $250 for this, so we're gonna give you $5,250. And you're gonna write us, you know, and we're gonna write you a check for 5 months. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're accounting for it in our budget as an expense, because. Well, I don't know.
Well, we still.
We may not be
We
liable
still
to that.
pay probably the rich people to, you know, we're still paying a different amount of staff to the street folks.
We should put that in the revenue increase, and not just, I'll talk to Sam, if she's struggling for $250.
County administrator.
Morning, Mike.
So the marketing, events coordinator position was posted. I have 5 applications. 5 of them are all from out of town. So someone came in and said showed interest, but no one applied for it. So, you know, that's still a big question mark. We'll probably do some interviews, but it's, you know, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia.
That's 8.
We have one from Fort Collins. I think that's the only one that's, you know, close to it, but still going, how could they afford to move?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I don't think that's where the analysis is.
Yeah.
it's not, I'm just giving you feedback.
Okay, yeah.
We get started, we will most likely, do a training, just to kind of see their interest on this. And, you know, and kind of go from there, but we've got 5 applications,
The other thing I would throw out is like.
but not applications, 5, from Indeed. So, and I've redirected them to say, please apply online.
With the relocation thing, there are people out there who just filled a position at JC office about 2 months ago. Someone who just really wants to move their scheme, and they're applying for everything, so let's not
Yeah.
sell ourselves short, just, and they can't, so when they go on Indeed, they have to go reapply for our website, that's not.
There's no, we don't have our application on Indeed. It's basically, I made it very restrictive in order, because if not, it costs $16 per interest from Indeed.
That's, I think that's about, okay.
I know, but I made it, you have to have at least 2 years of experience. And so what will happen, we'll get 1,000 applications.
My my experience with them, sorry, I'm not trying to manage it. Cause I do understand the budget piece of it, but if we need to pay to get like good applicants, that's how it functions. And have any of the people who reached out to them, have they actually applied?
And like an actual application that no one did.
I'd like to reach out to even some of the.
I've also submitted on CML. So CML has, it's free for that for municipalities. And then the Clear Creek Current, it's being advertised right
It's in the
now.
current, I thought it's current.
I think that we need to really, Indeed is a really modern and very effective tool, but that's how they make their money, is by. But the more you pay, the more exposure you get, and that's just the way it goes, and you can have a daily budget, when I had budgets, when I'm really desperate, were as high as $100 a day for hosts, like if I want, I gotta find somebody. And you also have the ability through Indeed, if you've got it set up right, that you can actually see people who are out there needing that job. But you've got to open a budget for that. That's obviously between the select and Indeed, but I would like to see us utilize Indeed more effectively if that's because that is the most modern and effective way we're gonna attract some people.
Otherwise, you're getting people who are justifying unemployment insurance by.
Applying.
Yeah. And is there a legal requirement that they fill out our application for them to be interviewed? So and that's the other component of a lot of it, like I would consider anyone who's submits a resume an applicant, that would be me. But
You want to ponder this maybe for a few more minutes and perhaps. I'll throw myself into it if necessary, Amanda and I, we could get together and kind of.
I'll make a
look
motion
into
on
how to
that,
that.
for sure.
So we get something that we can start to feel like we can act upon within the next couple of weeks and, I know we need the people to act upon, but,
Yeah, I've got a process question, like, are we involved in this process at all, or is it you and, say we? So like you and.
It's all
Is it you and Randy, is it you,
And I took our job description and I posted on Indeed. And then I created a format.
I understand, but you said, we will probably have some interviews, we will screen them.
Okay.
We is.
We'll have a panel of however you guys want to do it, do the interviews. And so, it'll be me and whoever you guys want to be part of that.
Okay,
but we need those bodies first to be able to.
no, absolutely.
So for those who,
They established who that group is. No.
Our job is not showing up on the first page.
No, it's on the end of the second, I think, it depends on how you search.
So the first job on Indeed, I'm looking at all jobs in North Colorado. The first job is the custodian, GCS. The second job is the mine tour guide. And then it's getting to the Silverthorne jobs.
So we're not even.
It's how you pay, and that's unfortunately, that is Indeed, and that's. I am
Probably not, we've got, we're coming up to our season, we all know that, I'm speaking to the choir.
One good thing with it's not just the current, it's also other small papers included. There's like she said, about 5.
It's probably worth extending that out to the Summit Daily News. Did that get you Summit Daily News, Steamboat Pilot, Sky High News in Grant County, and one other one. Obviously more expensive than the current, but also reaching about 40,000 people as opposed to, just the current circulation. So that's probably gonna get you up to, close to 100. Population wise, 150,000 people.
I do remember there was Fort Collins and Steamboat Springs. There was somebody from there that was interested.
Yeah, that probably came up, I'm sure, when you listened.
So jobs in Littleton are on us.
Well, you don't have to establish it now, but
I think we can come up with a panel down the line when we actually have the candidates and say who's available on this date and this is what we're gonna do. I think right now, if everyone is comfortable, Amanda and I and Rick, or I don't care who. couple of us, and Amanda, you seem to be the most on top of it. Indeed, we need to sit down and figure out where we need to expand our advertising. And, you know, because we're talking May if we're lucky now. You know, I mean, to get somebody on board and, you know, so can we meet within the next, you know, by mid next week even, or?
I didn't want to borrow something.
I know, so,
I can fill in for Amanda if she's out of town,
okay,
but we
Page 7.
we can't. I'm sorry, we cannot be addressing this once a month.
No,
I mean, it'll be this time next year before we have somebody on board. We can do that. I mean, this has to be, and Rick's busy with 1,000 other things. If one of us needs to take this over and put some.
Is there budget?
Put some meat on
That's the
it.
biggest thing. I want to know what's the budget available to us? I mean, obviously, that's,
Rather for working the job.
yeah.
It's just,
well,
it's kind of sign.
we've got, we've got the money, if we're even taking it away from the salary piece of that person for the last couple of months now, so, I think you need to be involved, so let's see if we can, I don't care, Amanda, Rick, I don't care,
That's
who,
fine.
you know, money,
No,
and if I can expand the range.
What's your schedule tomorrow? Because I'll make time.
Tomorrow morning from 8 to 10, I'm open.
Let's do 8:30.
Okay.
I'll give you time to get my broken kids out of the way. So what do you? Sure, sorry, I'm gonna be very more.
I do, because that's okay.
The job looks good. I mean, there's
Yeah.
everything.
the job description looks great.
Okay, so tomorrow morning, 8:30, and we'll let everybody know, how's that, we'll send out a follow-up and tell you what we're doing. Is that okay?
So 8:30 tomorrow.
Rick, just so you know, Amanda has to leave 15 minutes.
Sorry, you have to go proactive. I have to get there before they all show up. Or I'm gonna show up. You did.
So I guess quick update banners, the weather has prevented the guys from, you know, it's warm, then it's cold again, it's warm, windy, and, but I told Scooter to come talk to you or, and just come up with a map because there was no map left, and so.
Yeah, and then all that has happened, and so, I gave him the inventory and locations. And we chatted on the phone, and I knew it would be because of weather. So he has everything that he asked for from me, and so I think it's just waiting for things to play out.
And I know that the lift was broken, but he has it fixed.
Okay, cool.
So everything is ready, and he's even got replacement bars for those areas that are broken. So he's like, I've got everything, I'm just waiting now for the weather.
You can find it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not minding the other thing. It's been 2 months that we've had these banners. There have been more than enough adequate weather days in those 2 months to put those banners. But there just hasn't. It's not a priority for road and bridge. I get it. That's totally fine. They don't want to do it. I mean, this is nuts. This is nuts.
They need to go up.
They need to go up. I mean, I personally am tired of the excuses. And think we should consider hiring somebody to do it if road and bridge is too busy. And I get it, I hear them out there driving around right now, and oh my God, it's so 4 inches, I get it. And that takes time and that's a priority, but Monday was perfectly. It's beautiful day.
Next week is supposed to be really nice weather.
Well,
No, I know that, but you know, let's just be real, right now we're gonna be out there moving snow today.
oh,
So,
why not? The snow's the next 3 days or so, right? We gotta keep doing that. But if Monday's nice weather again, I just don't know where it stands on their priority list. So, I just think it's silly having these things sit around.
can we get it on?
They're not 2 months old.
I mean, I know Scooter's out of town right now. He's at Moab,
Okay,
and, when he gets back, we'll bump it to the highest priority.
when does it come back?
I don't know.
I mean, it's
This
a couple
week,
of days.
he's back Monday.
Um, we'll tack on another responsibility and position. Must be.
That's it. And then I think, Mary, aren't you the one?
Maybe one of the things on it, Excel did a light audit. And they found only 2 lights that weren't working and they were fixing them. And I think they didn't say what that meant, lights not working, it could have just been a whole was out. But they just said that, it's like 7 o'clock at night, they went through the whole.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw it on Rose Street, at the intersection of 9th and Rose, the corner I live on. And I heard this truck outside, and it said, "Son, what is going on?" And so I got- and they replaced a bulb on the pole, it was not the street, this over here. Yeah. And they put in, I think they took out a burnt out bulb and put it in a LED bulb.
Did you have a back from there?
Maybe we're sitting in 5 minutes, I was like, why are we working on that? And I saw everything. So, any progress? It's-
Maybe last I was told,
The verbiage will be put on this.
I think that that's something the shooter is in control of, where he needs to uncover the eye. And that was because of Christmas market, but I'll follow from that.
Yeah,
I
I just hate to see the verdict during the day.
yeah, and there was only 1 light that was discovered, it's kind of near where the field is down there. Organic bush, I guess Bush and Craig's where you are, there's a light bulb that's not working. And they were, Excel was gonna have to come back and examine the light.
Yeah, for-
She just said she left and she gave her phone.
Mary said I can do the website really fast and help. I would like, as a, so I sent you guys an email with an update, so I will bring in a full audit of the website with all of the, information that needed to be updated, including the broken links and updates to, business license holders that are not listed. Obviously in that email, Paul was gracious enough to put someone from his staff on some of the information gathering and fact finding. But Katie and Kyle did agree to take on some of this for a cost, which is $100 an hour. Kyle said what we could do would be to give him a cap of time. So what I would like to propose is that we vote on 3 to 4 hours of time for them to go through with all of the updates and the information policies to get the website done for summer. And he said he can get it done relatively quickly once he has the information. Obviously, that would include, some of the blogs on the guns in 2020. Some of, again, the broken links on there. I think some of those have gotten fixed. The itineraries only need to be updated. And then the information gathering for the business. I found, as I explained to everybody, I found out that the businesses that need to get on there. I don't have the time to go shoot the photo, get their business hours, get them website, to get them up. So my proposal would be that we give Katie and Kyle budget to work with Paul's team. And so we can get the website.
I make a motion to be authorized up to $600 for payment style. To update the town's business promotion, visitor website.
All in favor? Oh wait, that's not me. Sorry, bad habit.
I'm definitely.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, Kevin. It's a bad habit.
All in favor? And, will you communicate that to?
I will handle it.
And to Russ and to Mr. Boat? Yes, speaking. Okay,
Thank you.
workforce support commission?
So real quick, so I gave you a copy of what I gave you a couple of months ago. I know we launched tax conversations to death. I guess to me, I feel that it's not.
For an update on where that stands with that, is that a possible update for us again?
So what was the update? Yeah, the county has submitted an email And kind of a direct response that, their, Department of Revenue is going to turn off, by July 1st. We have sent a joint letter from the county and the town together that was agreed upon by our both attorneys, Peter and Jerry Dahl. That letter was sent out already to all the vendors. And that's where we are, so.
So we're collecting the money. And those accounting. And we're
Local
moving on.
meetings, they won't stop sooner,
I know. That's just, anyway, so I brought it up a couple months ago. I believe that the town, we should be looking at establishing a new commission, another commission. And I guess my question really was the BPC, since we're sharing the lobby tax money, half of it goes to BPC, half of it goes to this. What I'm just gonna call it Workforce and Tourism Enhancement Commission. Would we ultimately want to have a rep on that commission? There's so many things that we discussed at board meetings. Whether staff is gonna be handling, if we, as these funds come in and how we're gonna be looking at different projects. And again, because we're sharing the money, it seems to me that there's an overlap and we go hand in hand with it. It makes sense to me that perhaps someone from this commission, once the commission was established, you want to have that line of communication. Just as you have me, is your board, so these were just some ideas off the top of my head. They don't expect us to make this, but I think now since we tabled it, do we want to have any kind of say in it or not? So maybe we just need to discuss it more, a greater length next time around. We need to get this back on our agenda, or do you guys not care? And then the town and the board of selectmen can decide how we're gonna go ahead with this commission and. So,
I think it's imperative that this commission, I was the voice. I would argue there should be 2 EDC members on it. And 1 selectman member on it. At the end of the day, selectmen are full of first anyway, so they've got. But this, statutorily, yes, we can use it for this, but only because workforce housing is considered relevant to tourism. That's the string that connects that tax to workforce housing is promotion of tourism, right? Essentially. So, yeah, I think that's our charge, and I think we should be significantly represented on it. Or we could go to a 3-person commission. I would suggest 1 BBC member, 1 selectman, and 1 at-large from the business community. But I wouldn't try and go 5 or 7. We know how that works out. Keep it small, keep it at goal. If this commission actually gets established.
well, and it's gonna be a while before it does, but you've got to get the ball rolling. I'd rather, we're gonna start looking at projects. Even if it's for next year's budget with the funds coming in, and are we just leaving that up to, whomever on town staff that we've already decided are overburdened with responsibilities anyway, just everybody else here is with, doing your dual role on commission and, your operations of your organizations and businesses. So let's get something going. So that we have a plan, down the line, we're talking about an additional staff member. An administrative position under Rick that I can see is gonna be crucial into this. There might be some feedback from the marketing and events coordinator. I have to make sure I'm using the right term.
Well, I think both of those would be staff organizations from this commission.
So my question really was, does BPC think that you want skin in the game? Should you have skin in the game? I think so, which is why I bring it up to you guys. So, and then we can, just start kind of smoothing this out, and it'll have to go to Jerry, and it'll have to go to be approved that it's a official commission and everything else, so.
Does it need to be an official commission?
Everything else is, you guys are, DRC, everybody else. This is here to stay.
It wasn't established that way in the ballot question, it wasn't established that way in the ordinance,
You know,
created administrator.
because
function.
Yeah, no, I didn't say anything about establishing a commission, so I guess those are the two questions. You know, do you think we should establish a commission and DPC and the example or do you want?
I would make a motion that we prepare a guidance document for the board of selectmen with regard to establishing a workforce and tourism enhancement commission. And that it include, representation from, chosen from the Business Promotions Commission membership. Roster, whatever it is.
Second.
Discussion?
I'll take responsibility for working with, through Mary's memo here,
Yeah,
creating a memorandum for the board, for us to consider, right, and then. Once we've edited it, send it to the board of selectmen, give them guidance and language for the ordinance to establish.
so we'll bring it back here first before we.
Yeah, the next meeting we'll bring it back here, and then after that, we're all happy with the consent.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, folks, we're at 9:45, and one of the members needs to leave. Okay.
He told the vice chair, I believe that Justin was on the same term that, you know, time frame that Amanda was. And, you know,
Justin turned in a letter of,
I'd have to go look.
Did he stay in state?
I think he did.
he's staying on.
Yeah, I think he did.
But-
Oh,
But we, as DPC, just as we had appointed you as chair, we as DPC would appoint him or whomever, or do we want to nominate someone? I don't know if Justin is interested in it. You know, to me, it makes sense that Amanda might assume that role because it would be beneficial to you. But-
Thanks.
So I guess I'll appoint, so I can make a motion about this, but I would make a motion to appoint Amanda as vice chair to Business Promotions Commission.
Wait, don't we don't want to ask Justin first if he still wants to do it, or? Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, because Paul's not here and Justin's not here. Maybe.
Put it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Should that make sense for what's
Yeah,
happening?
I'm curious, you stepped back and I'm curious why you would want to step forward.
What, so I would personally want to step forward a lot.
Well, yeah.
One like Tom said.
Yeah.
I think it's more for the time. I would do it to do support to you.
Yeah,
And because I was already passed along with Mary to take on the supervision of the new person. Though it makes sense to me,
you do all of it.
I will, and so, but I won't be at the next meeting, but I will accept if that's the direction that he wants to go, and you guys, and if but if somebody else wants to do it. I'll be sitting in Barcelona and I will hear you.
Okay, got it.
I
But,
mean, I'm here to support.
Yeah, I think we should put Justin first and see what it's.
This will be fine.
Now, Justin had a lot of times that we had to go to attend. So that's my.
And your other,
And my other thing was the calendar, so I can
Yes.
put together some dates of what I'm aware of what's coming up over the next couple of months. I know we're all aware of it, but I think sometimes seeing it on paper is like, holy shit, you know, so,
Email me a copy of that and get it to you.
yeah. And then, isn't Jordan? I believe Jordan is interested in.
Yes,
So.
she just needs to submit her letter, or did she? I
And
can't remember.
Board of Selectmen thing to appoint. You know, that person to. Commissions, but yeah, so Jordan is interested in then.
Yeah, and then Mike Huggins.
Yeah.
So. I guess it's more of an active.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if those people could.
Get their letters.
You get just an email. to the
Yeah.
board. And the board.
They just need-
Tuesday,
And then they just need to take it straight to them. You guys are fine with that. Okay,
yeah,
okay, cool.
unless we knew of anybody else.
Me with your minute.
yes, before we walk out the door, I hope you've all had a chance to look at the minutes from March 1st, 2023. Are there any changes, corrections, etc.?
Is anybody that agree with that in March 1st?
So, were these people in the audience?
They were on, she was virtual.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do it.
Yeah.
You guys have to stay. Because I will be here next month, and it's George Monday, it's again with them. With the pancake breakfast again.
Okay.
Marty have